I just wanted to headbang with my braids.
I see. Yeah, don't do that.
That's
the wrong kind of energy for
That's
this
why
particular show.
And I'm also eating the taquito.
Yeah,
so
I mean, you're in a better mood than the rest of us. Welcome
I'm not
in.
really. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm focusing. I'm deciding not to focus on the negatives. I'm focusing on my hair and my braids. My taquito.
He never gets the food hot on Mondays, so I think that's why. We'll excuse him for this one, but welcome in to definitely Sad Boy and Sad Girl Hours, as Giselle said here, for the PHNX D-backs podcast. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I'm your mayor of PHNX. This man next to me is a taquito lover. He is Mr. Electric, Shawn. And of course, Jesse Friedman, also here, your Thunderstick, my vice mayor. That was a tough loss. That was an important game that the Arizona Diamondbacks absolutely had to win against the New York Yankees. It doesn't exactly eliminate their playoff chances or put them into that kind of peril, but this game seemed like it was in the Diamondbacks' hands, and they kind of let it slip through their fingers there.
Yeah. I mean, the Diamondbacks bullpen has been really good lately, and that's ultimately, what swung this game in the Yankees' favor at the end of the day. I mean, Kevin Ginkel can only be. I mean, he came in with a 2.12 ERA and a 0.94 WHIP
in baseball for so long.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really phenomenal for this team. And Ryan Thompson came into this game having literally not allowed a run. Since becoming a member of this Diamondbacks team, and his opponent OPS with the Diamondbacks was like 200 or something ridiculous like that. So in a lot of ways, I mean, those things just weren't sustainable, right? I mean, the D-backs bullpen was gonna give up some runs in a tough spot at some point. I think for me, this one, ultimately maybe comes down more to the offense. And it wasn't a terrible day. They put up 4 runs. They were able to get some big hits in different situations. But at the end of the day, it's tough to score when you only have 2 extra base hits and they're doubles, right?
Yeah.
The Yankees just had a lot more slug in this game than the Diamondbacks did. And in this series as a whole, the Yankees just knocked the ball around the ballpark quite a bit more than the Diamondbacks were able to. And it ultimately leads to a pretty tough series loss for the D-backs in New York.
This one looked pretty good because obviously we know the Yankees didn't have much to play for. There's some conflicting information about whether or not they're actually eliminated from the playoffs, because we celebrated this yesterday.
They are eliminated from the playoffs. Yep. I believe it's because 2 teams that they're in contention with are playing each other. Those teams being the Mariners and the Astros. So it is not possible for neither of those teams to win over the next few days. One of the 2 teams is guaranteed a win for the next 3 days. So if you kind of dig a little deeper on that level, that's probably where it comes from.
That explains it. But
so I was right in my celebration.
You were right in your celebration. So was Talking Baseball, and so were we. The Diamondbacks did what they needed to do early. They gave Merrill Kelly a lead early on. Alec Thomas had a big 2-run double with 2 outs in the first inning. Had absolutely smoked it, 110.5 miles per hour off the bat. He smoked even the outs today. Alec Thomas was hitting the ball very hard today, and that gave the Diamondbacks a 2-0 lead that they held for a fairly decent amount of time. Merrill Kelly, he wasn't great, especially right away in the first inning. Yeah. Something Shawn and I discussed was that it seemed like he had that break or bend but don't break first inning. Usually that happens with Merrill where you'll see him have a bad inning. Maybe throw a lot of pitches, maybe give up a couple runs, but then he seems to get things back on track. That first inning had pitch count of 35, I believe, after the first inning.
And he faced 4 batters.
Yeah.
And they basically averaged 10 pitches per plate appearance in that first inning. It wasn't crazy.
But he did get through it without giving up any runs and was able to, for the most part, be Merrill Kelly, where even on a bad day where he didn't have his best stuff, he was able to give the Diamondbacks a chance to win. He goes 5 innings pitched, gives up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and strikes out 5. But wasn't very efficient and wasn't exactly the Merrill we've seen that's able to go deep into games, which the Diamondbacks very much needed today.
Yeah, there's something about Merrill on the road where it's just different, right? I think his ERA on the road coming in was a little bit over 4. Yeah, I mean, Merrill on the road has just not been the same as Merrill at home this year. And I mean, it's been the same for Zach Gallen, right? I mean, that's kind of been the storyline all season long. I was looking back at Merrill's past 4 road starts coming into this one on September the 14th. You've got that start against the Mets where he gave up 7 runs, went 5 innings. Before that, you had a start against the Cubs at Wrigley Field where he only gave up 1 run in 5 2/3, but he had 5 walks in that game. It was kind of a grinder from what I remember. Start before that was in Los Angeles back on August 29th. That was the day where he gave up 7 runs on 12 hits, more walks than strikeouts. And then the one before that was in San Diego. I was there covering that game, and that was also a grinder for him. He had 4 walks in that game compared to 3 strikeouts. So this is kind of the Merrill that we've seen on the road for a while now. A guy who's going to probably give you a chance to win, going to probably keep you in the game, but he's not going to go, 6 or 7 innings and, 0 or 1 earned runs or something, like we've seen him done at home time and time again. So, we just kind of saw that version of him again today.
Yeah. Didn't have his changeup today either.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like we haven't brought up the weather at all. And like that certainly plays an effect.
Crazy.
Especially in, what was it? Yesterday's game? Yesterday's game where it was just
game,
like,
it seemed worse than
I
today,
thought it was
for
going to
sure.
get rained out. I don't know how they ended up finishing that game, but so I mean, I feel like that's important. But by and large, you mentioned his kind of string of road games. I mean, at this point, it's something that I'm concerned about. Is the starting pitching? I feel like if they're going to manage to do anything in the postseason, like that is the one question mark I have at this point. Is if you are going to get good performances out of Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, and based on what we've seen of them recently, like it's not as much of a guarantee as I think it would have been for the first half of the season. So like, it is certainly something to be concerned about. But
it's inconsistent. It's definitely inconsistent.
That's the problem. Like it is. You would like to know if you were going into the postseason, like, all right, if like this is our problem, but it's like you almost can't. You almost don't really know. Like if this team is going to lose, it's hard to predict why they're going to lose.
What thing isn't going to work?
Because either the offense is going to show up, or like today, all of a sudden the bullpen had their first bad outing in a while.
Yeah,
and then like you obviously been talking about the inconsistencies with Merrill and Zach. Like that's the most frustrating part of this to me. Is it's just like anytime you feel like you have a peg, you have this team pegged. It is. They end up doing something different. They end up looking like a different team, which I mean could be an advantage, right? Like you don't really know what team you're getting when you play them in the postseason if you're another team. But
yeah, I mean it's not great because the Diamondbacks need Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen essentially in order for them to advance in the postseason. They're not going to be able to do it without him. Meanwhile, Zach Gallen was absolutely incredible in Game 2 of this series with all of that crazy weather. Game 2 was probably the wildest game as far as the weather was concerned. Yeah. We probably should give King Snake to the New York Yankees grounds crew,
for
but
real.
We absolutely aren't going to do that. But Gallen went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs, walked 2, struck out 8, and that was playoff Gallen. I think when you talk about the numbers you just pulled, the most concerning part about that is knowing the Diamondbacks are going to be on the road for that playoff series, and knowing that those games, those numbers you just went over, aren't like selective starts on the road you picked throughout the season. Those are his last 4 starts, and then you pepper in tonight's, which wasn't, terrible, but also not another strong outing on the road. And, you don't have the most confidence that Merrill is going to be, the Merrill Kelly we know him to be at Chase Field in a playoff series on the road and potentially in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he was good yesterday. That was a huge bounce back start for him, right? I mean, Zach, it's no secret, has not really looked like himself his last 5 times outside of a complete game shutout somehow mixed in the middle there.
In the most, one of the most, in probably the most important game of the year up to that point.
That's still, it's odd how this has worked out for him, but I still think, I mean, there were some long fly balls. The wind, I think, did Zach Gallen some favors yesterday. If we're being honest, there was still some hard contact there. And, if the Diamondbacks are able to find their way into the playoffs, yes, he is going to be starting on the road, and he's not going to be starting against the New York Yankees, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be starting against, potentially the Philadelphia Phillies, whose lineup is
better,
5 hitters deeper than this Yankees lineup, right?
His lineup is just good, unlike the Yankees lineup. That should be
so it was a huge step in the right direction for Zach, and I do think he pitched well overall for sure. I don't want to discredit that, but I don't think it was, Zach Gallen is back, and Zach, and even he, if you look at his comments after the game, that was kind of his sentiment too. He thought he had figured out some things. He talked about kind of discovering some mechanical issues that he thinks has been causing some problems recently. But even he, as he often does, was not particularly satisfied and still kind of viewed, his pitching as just kind of a continued work in progress right now.
I think I think the encouraging thing about the Gallen performance is, even if it wasn't like his best, is that like everything was, at least it's like as far as the Zach Gallen narrative of this year, like everything was working against him. It was an early start, bad weather on the road, and he still managed to come out and pitch relatively well, which I think is encouraging. But
he is from New Jersey, so I don't know if the
true.
bad weather phased him as much as it might have phased most people,
or playing in New York. But
fair enough.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not like that was necessarily a raucous New York crowd yesterday.
That's fair.
Nobody at that game.
There were 39,000 people there, Shawn.
Yeah,
there was not 39,000 people at that game, and I don't
like.
want to go.
I would have loved to see the PA announcer where he had to make that announcement.
Yeah.
Like today's official attendance, 39,000.
You think they actually announced that in the ballpark?
Yeah, they have to.
Well, I mean, I know there's. Well, they might not have. The PA announcer might not have to.
Well,
obviously,
they have to tell.
They have to
tell the media.
The media, yeah.
I don't know if they have to.
And that's probably why they made that announcement, right? Like they had just said. Or that's probably why they made the comment.
And in regards to that, I just want to say how furious I would be as a ticket holder for that game, because not only did that game get delayed, right?
Yeah.
But they canceled bobblehead night, which is why there was 39,000.
They postponed it till 2024.
Till next year.
Yeah.
It's not till Monday. Not till next weekend. I mean, I know they don't have any more home games. This is it. But like, come on, give it to the people who came out in the rain on Sunday. Give it to the people who played hooky from work on Monday.
Yeah, you gotta
give everybody in the ballpark a bobblehead. Forget some people not getting one. With the attendance today, everybody would have gotten one.
You probably still would have had enough to do a giveaway next year too.
That's
there was
fair.
nobody. There was like 3,000 people.
They would have only given out like a couple hundred of them. So.
For real.
One thing that I was not satisfied when it came to at least Saturday's, or what was it, Sunday's game. Saturday's game didn't happen. Sunday's game was the usage of Kevin Ginkel in that game that I felt was completely unnecessary. Kevin Ginkel came in. I think he pitched an inning and a third, or maybe just an inning.
He threw like 27
pitches.
27, yeah.
28 pitches is what he threw. And I don't like that. And I don't know how that impacted Kevin Ginkel's usage today, considering he was the one that struggled and basically gave up the lead for the Diamondbacks and the bullpen. The bullpen was not great today. We do know that we talked about like Andrew Saalfrank and Ryan Thompson's success. Both of those guys struggled. At least Saalfrank managed to get out of his inning of work without giving up a run. Ryan Thompson was not so lucky. He did come into the outing with 10 scoreless innings in his D-backs career and an opponent slash line of 065, 121, 097.
Yeah. I mean, it always felt like that was going to.
I know
it was gonna.
He was totally gonna sustain that.
Yeah, right. Like
Shawn.
it did not seem sustainable at all. I think
it's gonna be the greatest reliever ever in the Diamondbacks
far
history.
from ideal that it happened and when it did, and that it all kind of happened at once with the whole of the bullpen that was used today. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to get to overreact too much, because like obviously this could end up being really bad, the fact that they dropped 2 of these games, but.
It could be,
and then the bullpen didn't look good, and that Merrill didn't look all like it. But
that I'm just saying though, look how critical using Ginkel yesterday.
Yeah,
I might have ended up being
point earlier.
And I'm like, I know that there's a lot of people that sometimes question Torey's managerial decisions. That's one I can understand, because to be honest, that I didn't feel like that was necessary when I think they had a 6-0 lead when they brought Ginkel in. And
yeah, you're right. It was 6-0.
Yeah, and I just that's the part for me that's just like, I don't know. The Yankees, I look over at the Yankees, and the Yankees in 2 of these games used relievers for 3 innings at times, right? I think in the first game, their reliever finished up the game and basically went 3 2/3 innings. And then in this game, you have them going 2 1/3. Vasquez went 2 1/3, and like that part of it for me at times is like, look, when you have a 6-0 lead, maybe let Ryan Thompson, that's been scoreless, go a little longer. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't think you'd want to have Thompson doing that either, because he's also one of your higher leverage guys.
That's true. That just seemed like a situation for like,
yeah,
I mean,
like Bryce Jarvis or some guy who's generally used for lower leverage situations. I think that's a really fair point. I mean,
you have a critical. Every game is critical. We've said this. Every game is a playoff game leading up to the end of the season. So you need to keep your quality bullpen guys. It's not like Ginkel. I don't know. Maybe he hadn't pitched in a while, so maybe Torey felt like a need to get him into this one. I'm not looking at his recent performances, but I just don't really know. It doesn't feel like it was a necessary game to bring in some of your most crucial relievers when you were going to end up possibly needing them today, like they did. right? So
he hadn't
hindsight's
pitched. He hadn't
2020
pitched in a while. He hadn't pitched since the 19th. He was on. Yeah, he was on 4 days rest.
That's what I figured.
That could have been.
It
part
had
of
to be something like that, right?
But I think it's still a fair point, because something that Torrey has consistently done for the last couple weeks is like he's bringing in Ginkel with that 5-run lead pretty much every time. He's bringing in Seawald, even if it's not necessarily a save situation.
But they need the work to get the work in.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, on some level to get the work in, but I think it's also just that Torrey really wants to win these games, and so he's setting the bar for like when these guys would come in a little bit differently than he would have earlier in the season. And I think it's a fair point. And it does end in situations like this, where you use, one of those guys in a situation where they didn't really need to be used. And then when you really do need them, it's like, oh, shoot, this guy threw 25 pitches, in a situation where we didn't really need him the other day. So it's a fine line. I mean, if he brings in someone else there, in yesterday's game, and suddenly that game becomes interesting.
You're like, why did Kevin
Ginkel come in? Yeah. So it's hard, but I think it's a valid point that you're bringing up for sure.
One thing that we know around here is managing is it's a thankless job. It's a thankless job, but because this guy doesn't even want to give him an award. He doesn't feel like they even deserve an award.
I would love to give them awards, but they would have to share so many secrets with the media that I just don't see it happening. That's the problem with the award for me.
Ryan Thompson did give up a solo home run. He almost gave up a 2-home run, but he didn't. Because Alec Thomas. Because Alec Thomas, look, we've said 71% of the earth is covered by water. It's all covered by Alec Thomas. We are all witnesses. Alec Thomas is the greatest center fielder to ever play the game. And for this reason, and because of his 2-run double that put the Diamondbacks up early, Alec Thomas is our king snake for this game. We are dubbing it the Catch 3.0. TM. Just so you make sure.
I mean, he's
honorable mention.
A dog.
He's a
like,
dog.
He's
got that dog in him.
He's just his defense keeps the team in games sometimes.
Like,
I don't know. And David made the point when it happened. Like he's so good that like even though he's going to the wall and he's going to have to leap at the wall, you still feel like he's going to catch it.
Yeah,
I felt like that was an out the entire time
whole
he
time.
was running to it.
I feel like is it his body language sometimes? Like, because sometimes if it's going to be a home run, you don't really see him even fake the funk that he's going to get it at the wall, right?
If he's chasing after it, there's just like a natural, he probably is going to catch this.
Well, the only thing about this is just the wind has obviously been acting up all weekend, so
you have no idea.
It makes it that much more difficult of a play for him. And
is he going to push it out?
He's
still
made it.
Alec Thomas doesn't give a fuck about wind.
He doesn't.
He controls the wind.
He does. Controls all of the avatar. Elements. Yeah, he's like Captain Planet. Speaking of someone also that deserves their flowers, Tommy Pham played in his 1,000th career baseball game. He is one of, I think they said 65 active players to play in a 1,000 baseball games. So shout out to Tommy Pham, another quality pickup for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It really has been a huge part of the reason why they are playing meaningful games right now as we speak. But big shout out to you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet already, make sure to do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up just for our own personal self-esteem and letting us know that you don't blame us for the Diamondbacks losing this game. If you're listening on the audio podcasting, sometimes we look.
It sounded like an admission of guilt.
I'm just saying, like,
we definitely were not responsible for them losing this game. I know no one has accused us of that yet, but we are not responsible.
Hey, I'm trying to just get out ahead of it.
I respect
get in front of it. All right,
very political.
If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, we appreciate you being here. Leave us a review, and don't blame us in your review for this loss.
We had nothing to do with it.
Do with this, and subscribe to us.
I didn't do
it. But we definitely can't keep letting them get away with this. That's for sure. Speaking of letting people get away with things, I don't know how Circle K keeps letting us get away with being members of the Inner Circle.
Me either.
It's a free membership program. It absolutely will save you money on not only all sorts of wonderful products, but gas.
I filled up this morning.
Yes, gas. Very
25
important.
cents off.
25 cents off.
Gas is too expensive right now.
This is stupid right now. I mean, absolutely. That's why Circle K is out here in these streets trying to do what they can to give us cheaper gas. So sign up for their Inner Circle program for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. You'll get that 25 cents per gallon off your first 5 fill-ups, and you also get buy 5, get the 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products, including pizza, coffee, and ice cold fountain drinks. And I got this morning Just a coupon for free coffee. They're just like, just stop by and come get free coffee. Just get free coffee, free iced coffee, free hot coffee, no matter the size. They don't care. They're not judging me. They let me get whatever I want. They know I'm going to get free fill-ups and stuff while I'm there anyway. So whatever. That's the fountain drink life. That's different. Coffee, fountain drinks, anything you let me pour myself, I'm going to take lots of. But anyway, speaking of lots of that they don't let me fill up my own glass at, Illegal Pete's. They have the strongest margaritas in Arizona. And for that reason, they don't let me come behind the bar and fill up my own glass. But they will feed me a bunch of amazing food. And of course, they are here. Yeah, you were eating one.
Yeah, I was there. Very good. I was there Saturday as well.
Still haven't stopped thinking about
the margarita I had on Saturday was bomb. Damon said he was going to show up and then didn't.
Only one?
Ooh, Damon.
1.5.
Damon.
I mean, how many did you have at Illegal Pete's on Saturday when you said you were going to show up? And you
didn't? Damon, how many did you have?
The thing is I didn't show up, but I know that shit would have been different if I did, because 1.5 margaritas is not acceptable.
Well, to be fair,
1.5.
We started the show and then I was doing the show and I couldn't get more, and then they closed by the time our show was over. So
that sounds like bad planning. That's not my fault.
No,
that's not Damon's fault.
No. It was nobody's fault.
Horrific time management.
But it was the planning was definitely not there. Shout out Danielle, because she went and got Totri one during our show, and then Totri split it with me. So
all right, well, make sure
friends are for.
Don't blame your friends for not drinking the margaritas at Illegal Pete's. Take that upon yourself to do, and of course, don't blame Damon for not showing up either. You can go to Illegal Pete's with or without Damon. And enjoy all of the wonderful things they have to offer, including their
I'll probably be there.
Patio season. Damon's always there.
He lives there. That's why I was upset.
Yeah, I get it. Big fan of the piping hot queso. Illegal Pete's is your go-to spot this summer. Stop by for happy hour, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day at all 12 locations. Illegal Pete's, the go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beers for 28 years. Well, let's take a look at the numbers for this series with the New York Yankees, because the Diamondbacks, they hung in there. They should have won this final game. I'm still going to say that, even though that's not how games work. You can't just say they should have won it and that, yeah. But anyway, this one was definitely one they should have won. But they lose the series 14 runs to 12. The Yankees out-hit them 27 to 21. Both teams had 3 errors in the 3 games. And really, starting pitching ERA, relief pitching ERA, that's the story of this one. You could say, obviously, the Yankees outpowered them with the home runs, but mostly
the Yankees did not outpower them with the home runs. Aaron Judge did on the first game of the series.
Correct. But I mean, that was the relief pitching, starting pitching, really bad in this series. And of course, both we can't have both of those things being bad and have success. There's no way for the Diamondbacks to win these final 2 series that they have coming up against the White Sox and the Astros and have both of their starting pitching and relief pitching be this bad.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. The Yankees are not a very good baseball team, but that's what's concerning about this, right? Like if this is how you're going to perform against a bad baseball team at this time of the year, what are you going to do? Kind of like Jesse alluded to, if it's the Phillies or if it's the Brewers or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's really concerning. I don't want to put too much stock into like the errors or the home runs, considering the elements like that clearly played an effect on those numbers. But I mean, as far as the home runs are concerned, I mean, the home runs, Aaron Judge was just kept. He's Aaron Judge, man. I don't know. He'd hit 3 of the first day, but
probably would have had another one today if it wasn't for Alec Thomas, for sure.
Yeah, but like the pitching is certainly concerning. Like I was talking about earlier, like this is not the time for them to be doing this and for them to be putting out bad performances. So hopefully it was just a matter of it being a really weird weekend with the weather and the delays and stuff like that. But certainly not encouraging going into these final 2 series.
There's a lot of blame being thrown around in the chat about whose fault it is, and I just don't like.
They seem to be saying it's your fault.
My name being included in it. I don't care who. It could be Charles's fault. It could be Elizabeth's fault. It's not my fault. It's absolutely not my fault.
I don't think it's my fault.
I wasn't even around on Friday. Saturday, I was
this whole
pro wrestling commissioner. Like, there's no way this is on me.
Yeah, I mean, leading up until this series, I've been saying really nice things about the Yankees and how good of a franchise they are. So I don't think I had really anything to do with the outcome of this series. I definitely didn't want this. I really didn't want this bad. I didn't want this.
Can we time code this so we can clip this? I just want this one for my personal collection.
I never said anything bad.
Could you imagine if like Aaron Judge in the post game was like, "Yeah, we heard this one dude on this podcast talking."
Well, that's what we had joked about on Friday after his 3rd home run, and he does a standing O. It was definitely like a "fuck you, Shawn." Fuck you, Shawn.
Yeah.
It makes sense, actually. I mean,
Aaron Judge, the one Yankee I don't talk bad about. Also, speaking of which, what was Aaron Boone complaining about in this?
Oh yeah, we still are wondering about that when Miguel Castro was having issues with the pitch.
I think it might have been mound visits related. They seem to be hypothesizing that on the broadcast, like because you only get so many in a game, right? Yeah. And they had to deal with the pitch com situation. Maybe Aaron Boone was trying to say that there was an uncounted mound visit in there at some point.
Your team's been eliminated. We're playing in the rain. When do you just chill out? When do you just stop
if your
being
team
like this?
has been eliminated, no manager of an eliminated baseball team should be allowed to like argue anything.
Yeah,
right.
You're not even allowed to set foot on the fucking field.
I would have loved. Aaron Boone steps out there, the home plate ump's just like, win some games. Talk to me later.
yeah. Where are you in the standings again?
Talk to me in October.
Talk to me in
October.
Oh wait,
you won't be there.
Don't you just want to go on vacation now, like the rest of
You're also winning.
Yeah.
Don't you want this to get wrapped up?
Yeah, just chill out. But speaking of winning, the Diamondbacks obviously did not win this series, and they need to win the final 2 series of the year. I don't know numbers wise if that's a requirement, but it really feels like with how these other wild card teams are performing and the way this is going to play out here at the end, you're going to have to take the series against the Chicago White Sox and then a very tough series at home against the Houston Astros team, who honestly has not been playing very good baseball right now, but could all of a sudden turn things around when it comes to play the Diamondbacks. But before we get to that series with the Astros, let's take a look at this Chicago White Sox team the Diamondbacks have coming up. They have a record of 60-96 with a run differential of minus 181. That's a lot.
They're not a good baseball team.
No.
Contrary to popular opinion, the Chicago White Sox are not a good baseball team.
It is amazing that they have really been like the most disappointing team in baseball for like 3 straight years now, it feels like.
They're always a young and exciting team until we get halfway through the season.
Yeah. Bad baseball team. You gotta take care of business.
4-6 in their last 10 games. Their starting pitching ERA is 4.85, which is 23rd in Major League Baseball. Relief pitching is 5.01, which is 26th in Major League Baseball. Their OPS is 679 as a team, 28th in baseball. And their defensive run saved, minus 61, 29th in Major League Baseball.
Can you guys guess, who do you think leads the White Sox this year in defensive run save?
Oh, it's got to be something weird. It's
Tim Anderson leads the team in knockouts. I know that.
Yeah, and
he is last on the team in defensive run save. I think he's like minus 16 or something like that.
Is it somebody that's like not there anymore?
It is somebody who's not there anymore.
So classic.
Sebi?
It is Sebi Zavala.
Let's go. That is the funniest thing. What a poverty franchise. What a joke. Oh my God.
That's
incredible. We took your DRS leader.
I mean, to be fair, Sebi Zavala wasn't doing a whole lot offensively when he was with the White Sox.
How many defensive runs saved does he have?
I think it was 7.
Hey, let's go.
Defensive run save, which is pretty impressive.
And,
I mean,
and he still needs to come out of the pen. That's for sure. But that's
and he brings a lot of value on the mound as well. I don't think we have like a graphic for probables, but we do have a little bit of information that just came out about that. Zach Davies, I believe, will pitch tomorrow against Jose Urena, who is not a good pitcher for the White Sox, has an ERA over 7. I don't think he has a win this year. On Wednesday, the White Sox do not have a starter announced as of yet. I believe I'm forgetting the name of the pitcher, but they had a pitcher in that spot in their rotation who just hit the injured list. So he is not going to be available. It kind of seems like it'll be a bullpen day for the White Sox on Wednesday. Brandon Pfaadt is slated to start that day for the D-backs. And then on Thursday, the D-backs don't have a starter as of yet. Could be a bullpen game for the D-backs, but the White Sox have Touki Toussaint.
Second time this year, right?
Yeah, I believe the D-backs saw Toussaint when he was with another team, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's bounced around quite a bit. But yeah, and he also, is obviously, still kind of figuring things out. So
I cannot wait for that because they are going to mention that he was a former Diamondback every single time they take the field.
Correct.
It is what they did last time. I remember it. Listen, I don't blame them. You're a broadcaster. You gotta if you get something like that, you gotta go back to the well. But in case you didn't know, he was a part of this organization at one point.
The Diamondbacks did draft Touki Toussaint. Yes,
we remember. We all remember. Well, how important is this series? Very. No. Very, very extremely. I mean, do you really want to hang your hopes on winning a series against the Astros in the final series of the year, or sweeping the Astros in the final series of the year. I mean, let's take a look at the wild card standings, because this shows you how close things are right now.
Where would you rather be than right here?
Yep. I mean, this is fun, but I'm tired of the anxiety. I've just been riddled with anxiety for 3 straight weeks. Diamondbacks now tied with the Cubs for, I guess you could say, the 2 wild card spots. The Marlins just 1 game back from all of them. And then the Reds now 2.5 games back. We've kind of pushed some of those other teams now off of this board, because it's looking more and more.
The Padres have passed the Giants.
Yes.
That's so funny.
I don't even want to hear that.
Isn't that insane?
No. What do you mean you don't want to hear? That's hilarious.
It is hilarious, but the Padres still terrify me. The Padres are the only team.
Oh my God.
The Padres are the only team not in the playoffs right now with a positive run differential, and it is incredibly high.
And the Diamondbacks
are the only one without a positive run differential currently in the playoffs. So things aren't great. And of course, like I said, the White Sox, it's just, I mean, you don't want to overlook them, obviously, due to the fact that they are a baseball team. They have gone 4-6 in their last 10.
They are a baseball team. The bar is on the floor.
Have 9 guys with sticks that want to hit the ball that you're throwing. So, yeah, but I mean,
if there's really no better time to be playing a team like the White Sox, like I know you don't want to look past them, but like if there's a time for the bats to get hot, that's like, and the pitch, the bullpen to get back to being shut down, the starters, like this is a get right series. That's for sure.
It's just difficult because all this rain, all this weather, like all these like I think Merrill was talking about it today on the broadcast, that it's just very like, you know, they don't know if they're going to start on time or if they're even going to play. Like they had to get these games in New York due to how important it was for the Diamondbacks in the wild card situation, but you almost get the feeling like they might have postponed these if these were 2 teams out of contention and just been like,
that would have been 100%. Yesterday, I mean,
let's not even play these games.
Like who in their right mind, after the regular season is over, all the playoffs have been decided, and they're like, I need to turn on eliminated Arizona Diamondbacks versus eliminated New York Yankees, and get what is essentially, I mean, not obviously, but like basically a 163 type vibes, like for no reason. That would have been hilarious.
Josh Hunt in the comments said, Padres finally have a crumb of justification for their payroll the size of a country's GDP. Well said. Well said.
I mean,
maybe if they make the playoffs.
Do you know where it might rain on Tuesday?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. Yeah.
That's not great, Jesse. That's not great. At least the Diamondbacks are used to it by this point. I don't know what to say.
Can we pull up the standings one more time? just as Damon's like trying to adjust the cord. My timing is
Damon
always
was literally under the table,
so
adjusting cords.
Just to like frame the postseason picture moving forward, the Diamondbacks are still in a good spot. This was not a, you were in really good position to make the playoffs, and now you're behind the 8 ball. You're in a really tough spot. The D-backs are still in a good position.
Still control their own destiny.
Because, they are now tied with the Chicago Cubs after this game, but they have the tiebreaker over the Cubs. Correct. So they still lead the Cubs. The Cubs could only pass the Diamondbacks if they, play 1 game or better than the Diamondbacks the rest of the year, right? And then the Marlins are a game behind both of these teams right now. The Marlins have the tiebreaker against both teams. So the Marlins are essentially, the Cubs are a game behind the Diamondbacks, and the Marlins are a game behind the Diamondbacks. And if you're the Diamondbacks, for the sake of argument, I'm going to put the Reds to the side here, because I don't know if they'd even make the playoffs if they won the rest of their games. That's kind of the position that they're in. If you're the Diamondbacks, you make the postseason as long as you avoid both the Cubs and the Marlins overtaking you.
Yes.
If one of the 2 teams overtakes you, you still make the playoffs. You just can't have both of these teams overtake you. And as of right now, they're both still a game behind you. And that's why the Diamondbacks are still in a pretty good spot.
Absolutely. And if you want some more good news, the Cubs have 3 games with the Braves and 3 games with the Brewers. I don't know how that final series with the Brewers
nothing about that feels like good news.
The Braves have been screwing us.
And I mean, the Brewers did too against the Marlins. So like, if they want to keep up, like, please help us, because you haven't been recently.
You don't
take a book out of the Pirates.
You don't want to hear what the Marlins have remaining on their schedule.
No,
But I'm going to tell you anyway. 3 games against the Mets and 3 games against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Okay, well, hold on.
The Pirates
have been doing their fucking job for us.
You're
so
a fucking
we
hero.
are all Buccos fans over here. And then the Mets, like, you owe us.
You do owe us.
You tried to ruin our season multiple times. You owe us.
Yeah. So, all right. There's good reasons to bet against the Marlins, but maybe I wouldn't actually bet money. But if you are betting money, a good place to do so, BetMGM. If you haven't signed up yet, you can place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. And in doing so, you will get $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. You can spend those all sorts. I had the wildest. I bet against the Cardinals. I tried to emotionally hedge my bets.
I lied, bet against the Cardinals, which is the worst part.
See, no, that I don't know about that, but because you could kind of feel it, right?
Well, I mean, we saw the exact same thing happen last week, so I was like, oh, chance.
I've seen this movie.
I'll
before.
either be disappointed and I make money, or I will not be disappointed and I will lose money.
Thanks to a 50% odds boost from the BetMGM folks, I got I bet $10 and my payout was potentially $1,200, and mostly everything I had on there was reasonable and hit. I had a James Conner anytime touchdown. Okay. I had him having like 50 yards. I had Pollard having like 39.6 yards. I had both the quarterbacks under like 300 yards passing. All of that hit. It was just the damn over. I went under on the over-under. It was like 43 points. I was like, in what world do the Cardinals score that many points? Well, they did it last week. And I also bet on the Cowboys. So regrettably, I did that. But you can make better bets than I did and make yourself some money. And also, don't miss out on that $200 by signing up, using code PHNX, and depositing at least $10 into your newly created account. You got to place a wager in the bet amount of at least $10 at a standard odds price. And once you've done so, you will receive $200 in bonus bets regardless of your wager's outcome. Sign up now. Do it. Use that bonus code again. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. It's a very, very aesthetically pleasing app. You will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Once again, when it comes to wins, when it comes to losses, even maybe ties, I'm drinking a Joy Bus Wowie. That's the Four Peaks beer that gets me through all of life's ups and downs. But of course, you can pick your favorite because Four Peaks has a wide variety of flavors, including the classic Kilt Lifter. And of course, right now it's pumpkin porter season. So make sure to not miss out on pumpkin porter, back on the shelves and in draft lines throughout the valleys. Of course, still my favorite, the Joy Bus. You can visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all of your favorite brewery tours and events. Stein Holding just happened. That was fun. I saw, I don't think I can do that. Those guys stood out there for a long time.
You got arms though.
I do have arms, but they're also heavy. They're beefy arms, but they have their own weight to them as well.
I don't have the shoulder strength.
It's a lot. I mean, these guys were out there for a minute, but we still have Oktoberfest and of course the Haunted Brewery Tours in October right around the corner. Check out Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink responsibly. Well, I know this is a packed episode. I know we had a lot of stuff to cover. I know we don't normally do post games on Monday, but it is Monday. And of course, every year on this show, our year. Every month on this show, Indigenous Peoples Month. Every month on this show, Black History Month. Every month on this show is Women's History Month. And of course, every month on this show is Black Women's History Month. Every week, Damon's laughing like he doesn't take this shit seriously, but this is absolutely the truth. Every week is Shark Week. Every day is Earth Day. And God damn it, every Monday, rain or shine, we go to the mailbag. Damon, let's go.
My mailbox, always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go, wow, wow, my mailbox.
Shout out to Megaran. By the way, his children's album is out. Don't miss out on Bud Deed's Magic Toy Box. And he is trying to get nominated for a Grammy in the children's category. And he absolutely deserves it. That album is incredible. So please support our friend and, of course, the maker of our Mailbag Monday song.
I can see. I'm going to be pissed off when you post a picture with his fucking Grammy, Derek. I can see it now.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to kiss it
now. I can see it now.
Hey, guys, I'm not going to be here this week because I got to go to the
Grammys with Megaran. Yeah, well, these are the things that happen around here. We got our first question. Let's go. What do we got? Ryan asks, can I get some motivation Monday words for the final week of the season? Yes, Ryan, we have your motivation. I think Jesse just provided us with a lot of motivation when it came to where the Arizona Diamondbacks stand after this loss, right? Things look bleak. We're either back or it's over. There's no in between.
Mm-hmm.
That's the two gears we have around here. But if you need some more motivation, I'll tell you this, Ryan, you are absolutely a playoff contender, is what I'm going to tell you. In your life, in your actions, in your words, and everything happening to you. Don't let anybody steal this from you. Don't let the Marlins steal this from you. Don't let, the Cubs pass you. You get to the playoffs and make yourself a World Series champion. Metaphorically, of course, because you're not actually a baseball player.
We know that the Marlins are just viciously chasing after everyone's happess.
They're trying to
just snatch it away.
Absolutely want to end our happiness.
That does seem like the vibes of Miami.
But true motivation is that the Diamondbacks are in a great spot, and when it comes to this week, it's not great that they're playing the Astros, but they do have a pretty weak White Sox team ahead of them that hopefully they can get some wins and secure themselves that.
Like I said earlier, they control their own destiny as long as they do their job. Mm-hmm. Like there's the Suns, right? The what was it, 8-0 in the bubble or whatever it was?
But they still had to wait for other teams to lose.
They had no control over their own destiny. Like if you're the Marlins, for example, there is a world in which you win out and you don't make the playoffs. That sucks.
Yeah.
If the Diamondbacks do their job, they're making the playoffs, and that's a much better position to be in, obviously.
There you go. Love it. What else we got, Damon? Josh Perlman at JPearlAZ on Twitter asked, if the D-backs clinch before Saturday's game, would they rest Kelly and save him for the National League wildcard game 1? That would allow Gallen to pitch game 2 and potential closeout game on normal rest. So, yeah, I mean, this is obviously the best case scenario for the Diamondbacks. I don't know if they can really worry too much when every game is still critical about how they're going to play it out so that Merrill and Zach are available. But I mean, let's be honest. It is something that Torrey does have to kind of factor in here as this week plays out.
Well, I mean, we have talked about it, I think, last week, right? About what they would do potentially in that last game.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time believing they're going to be in a situation where the last 2 games don't matter. I feel like they are.
After today, that doesn't seem.
I feel like every game is going to matter, and if not, then it would just be the last game that doesn't matter. So I feel like that's probably not a situation we're going to be in. But yeah, I would have to imagine, right? If they were somehow in that situation, they would probably try to figure out a way where they could get Merrill and Zach in the first 2 games of that the wild card series.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have Zach Gallen start game 1, you want Zach Gallen to start game 1, right? So the Diamondbacks are going to do that if they have the opportunity. I think you can say with quite a bit of confidence, but they're probably not going to have the opportunity. Is sort of where we're at now. I mean, Gallen is slated to start on Friday. Right. I mean, that's you're having to make that decision with 3 games remaining in the season. And with Merrill, you're having to make it with 2 games remaining in the season. So I agree with what Shawn just said, that you're probably not going to be in that position. You could be in position, though, where the last game of the season doesn't matter. And you might be able to, find a way to string together some innings with some lower leverage guys and, try to be as fresh going into the postseason as you possibly can.
Time for an 8-inning shutout performance from Bryce Jarvis on the last day of the season.
Sebi Zavala getting, shutting it down in the 9th.
Piece of Yoshi said the Astros are 46-29 on the road. Not a piece of information I really wanted to know.
Yeah, it is kind of bizarre. A lot of their struggles have happened at home. Yeah.
And then
sweep the White Sox, and that's not as important.
Yeah, that's a great point. Elise says anxiety is already real high. Yes, Elise, it absolutely is.
But again, like we were kind of talking about, it's much better to be here than and then these games not mean anything.
I mean, we were even saying, like, and obviously it would be great to be the fan of a team that's clinched and whatever. But like,
right?
Right. Like, I mean,
as far as content's concerned.
Yeah, but we also think like, I don't know how exciting it is for your team to already have clinched the division and like at least we are having exciting baseball games every single day because every single game matters.
Yeah, I like it. I would much rather be the Dodgers, obviously, but
sure.
If this show was about the Dodgers, it would have been real boring over the last month. There would have been jack all the talk.
I don't know. That team has some has a lot of weird things going on with them right now. If
we're being realistic, it's the Dodgers. There's always something to talk about, but
yeah, they got
not as much like.
I just talk about Mookie's podcast. That's what I talk about.
I just talk about Mookie.
Yeah, that's right. What else we got? Gabriel at Bold as Bronze on Twitter asks, I'm currently in Europe for the next 3 weeks. This is the first time I plan a trip in late September, early October, because I didn't want to miss potential playoffs. Should I just do this every year if it means missing the playoffs in person?
So this is the year that you finally decided to schedule a one during the playoffs? Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't understand it. But I also think, like, whatever you did.
Yeah, you got to do it again.
You got to do it again.
That's just how you've made this bed. You must lay in it now.
We're creatures of habit when it comes to baseball. So, yes, you do have to do this every single year. I mean, going to Europe for 3 weeks doesn't sound like the worst punishment.
Twist my arm. Got to miss the playoffs.
I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch these baseball games. Yeah, whatever. I think it was just a humble brag. I think Gabriel
so
just
too.
wanted
I'm
in Europe for the next 3 weeks. Yeah,
it sounds like he waited to find out that the Diamondbacks were potentially going to be in the postseason, and that's when he decided to go on this vacation.
Well, and also the funnier part is it seems like over the last few years you were like, can't go in September, can't go in October because they might make the playoffs.
That's bad.
Which
judgment.
If you were doing that 2 years ago, you were a crazy person, and I respect it, but you are a crazy person.
He is a crazy person, that's for sure. I still think he's just trying to flex on us that he's in Europe. That's what I think's going on.
Yeah, this is the wrong place for that. Go to the Coyote show. That's what Leah and Craig do every single day. They're like, oh, Leah's like, I studied abroad.
All right, what else we got? Aaron Hughes, Aaron R. Hughes on Twitter asks, with how good the bullpen has been lately.
Oh, man.
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron. Tom makes fools of us all. With how good the bullpen has been lately, who are we sending down DFAing? Also, it seems like Lawler's figuring it out, so would Rivera go down? Jesse?
Yeah, so first, I assume we're talking about like a playoff roster situation here where you have to cut down from 28 down to 26. Yeah, I don't know if I would quite say that Lawler, is. I mean, he's looked better, right? I mean, he had a hit in this game, and I think he's making some positive strides.
Had some good defensive plays in this game.
Yeah, the D-backs are still, frankly, only playing him when they have to. I mean, they're only playing him when Ketel is hurt, in this case, had an illness that he was dealing with. So I don't know if he's someone they necessarily want to be playing, even though I do agree he has looked a little bit better. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough decision for them. I think you probably want Lawler on that playoff roster because you want someone who can play shortstop. You feel good about playing shortstop on the roster. If Perdomo were to get hurt or something like that, at third base you have a lot of depth. I mean, you have Rivera, you have Longoria, you have Jace Peterson. If you're looking to shed someone from the roster, it kind of makes sense for it to come from that position. And Jace Peterson being left-handed and having some experience in the big leagues, I think Emmanuel Rivera is, probably the odd man out on paper as of right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think at this point, the bullpen has been playing well, and the Diamondbacks do need as many arms as they can possibly get.
They'll have to shed a pitcher as well. I guess maybe Bryce Jarvis would be. And I mean, he's pitched well, so you'd hate to do that, but I think he's sort of. Luis Frias has pitched pretty well lately. I know yesterday wasn't quite as pretty for him, but he also had to get like 5 outs because of the wind and some of the plays just being very difficult in that game.
Yeah.
So I think Frias is probably there to say. Bryce Jarvis has sort of been used as kind of an extra length arm, in a postseason series. That's something you probably wouldn't need quite as much. So. That would be my guess, but there's a few different ways they could go with that.
All right, our last question comes from Jacob Schultz, and this one's specifically for me, so you guys can just go ahead and tap out now. Jacob asks, if all of the D-backs players were in a season of Big Brother, who wins, who gets voted out of the house first, and what alliances form?
I've never seen a single episode of Big Brother. I don't even fully understand the concept of it.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So it's essentially like Survivor, or one of those reality games where you start out with a group, people get voted off each week. This is more of living in a house with people, having to live on top of people not being able to leave the house. There's games. There is a head of household who decides on who gets put up. There are like a veto where someone could win the chance to take themselves off, and then the house votes on who votes them out of the house.
So basically, if the entire Diamondbacks roster was forced to live
in the house.
Who do they like the least? Is that the
Well,
how do they decide who gets
So
voted off?
he was saying who wins. Well, sometimes it's strategic. Sometimes you're going to vote out a strong player.
Get Tommy Pham out of here.
Yes,
that
Tommy
motherfucker
Pham
is going to win at all costs.
Tommy Pham is absolutely a player.
I would be
He's
threatened.
the exact, first of all, you're going to have half the guys not taking it very seriously because they're just going to go in there and they're just going to be like, I'm just happy to be on CBS in primetime.
I cannot see any of our outfielders, any of the young kids in the outfielders being like, I need this.
No, you know what I can see them? Them being the ones that form the alliance.
Yes.
Right?
Like Jake
Calling
Corbin and
they'd be like, we're the snakes in the grass. And they'd have like a little handshake where they go like
Jake
this.
Corbin and Alec are, and probably Geraldo, throw him in there, are all.
Maybe like, Gabby? Maybe I don't
just
know.
the youth,
just
it's
the
core,
babies, just the youth.
The baby backs are all gonna group up. Get the old folk out.
Yeah, that's usually how it happens. That's what
people get voted out of the house.
People get voted out of the house.
I think Corbin is so nice that no one would ever attempt to ever vote him out.
Here's the thing. Corbin is who I would choose to win the game.
Yeah,
because Corbin Carroll is a man that came into this season with a goal in mind, and he has achieved that goal. He has literally made history, and he has pretty much secured himself the Rookie of the Year for the National League.
Yeah,
right. I can't see anybody taking it from him with a week left to go, and so that's enacting a game plan, right? That is coming in, having your eyes set on the prize, and being able to follow through on your game plan to ultimately get to your goal. I don't know if there's anybody on the Diamondbacks I could say did that.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever told you this before. I was in like a Syracuse University version of Survivor, like on campus, and I was in it. I came in third only because once I got to the final three, I lost the final challenge, and I was clearly the bigger threat, so I didn't get brought to the final.
That's how this works.
But
that's the reality world. The
reason I got so far, and the reason I agree that I think Corbin, I think Corbin would just I was just low key the whole time. I didn't make enemies. I didn't really assert my dominance that bad until it got to a point where it was every man for themselves, and I was just like, oh, I'm better than all of you.
But Corbin's low-key competitive, so he would take it seriously and he would want to win.
Corbin would strategize well enough. He would make friends with people. He wouldn't make himself a threat. And then once it got to every man for themselves, everyone would look around and be like, oh, we fucked up. That guy's still here, and he's better. Yeah. He's going to dominate.
Jake McCarthy would be the one blabbing plans to Evan Longoria. You'd be like, oh, yeah, we have an alliance. And he'd be like, what do you mean you have an alliance? Evan would take that information back to the rest of the house.
would ride his alliance with Jake and Alec to the very end. He would use them to carry him into the everyman, and then it would be like,
and just absolutely backstab both of them.
I got to do something here.
First person out of the house. That was the one thing.
Tommy Pham, just because he's a threat, and he also, I don't know. I feel like if you're not on his team and you're in a competition, we've seen how that can go for some people, Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that he would. I don't know in a situation like that he would necessarily. Plus, he's a threat.
I take it the other way. I think Tommy Pham would come in playing too hot. I think people would immediately find a way to be like, yeah, this guy's game playing in the first on day one. We're still having cocktails and learning each other's names, and he's trying to form alliances and figure out who's going to be the head household
I could see it because Tommy, when you see his interviews and stuff like that, he's very dry, and so I could totally see everyone's in the house chopping it up, and Tommy just kind of shuffles over with his drink and be like, so who's the alliances?
Yeah,
and then it's just like, what do you mean? I don't even know your name yet, Tommy.
See, I think Cattell would low-key also be cool with everybody in the house.
Cattell would pretend that he doesn't speak English the whole time.
Yes.
And he wouldn't be a threat. And then he'd be like,
bringing information back. Got him. He's sitting right in the room while they're talking in front of him.
They're talking like they don't need to know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Kike Hernandez clip?
Oh,
He was talking about it in AAA, and he pretended that he didn't speak English for a whole month until his manager was talking to him with a translator the whole time. That'd be something Cattell would do, and then at the end he'd be like, "I actually speak English, you goon."
Very well, in fact.
If I was in this house, I'd be going around being like, "We got to get Jace Peterson out of here."
Jace is a mystery. Jace, I feel like would get voted out too.
I don't trust that Jace Peterson.
I don't know a whole lot about Jace as a person, so I would just be like, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be making alliances in the way you need to win a game like this.
See, Christian Walker though strikes me as the guy that would win too much stuff. That eventually they're like, we got to get this guy out.
Christian Walker just wouldn't know how to play the game, and he would just dominate. He would be what Corbin, the opposite of Corbin.
He wouldn't understand to dial it back.
Yeah, he's never seen the show before, so he thinks I just got to win, and that's not really how it works.
Yep. He's right. See, he gets it. He's not even seen the show.
I've seen Survivor enough, and if it's the same concept, I get it.
It's exactly. You're just.
I just think both of you guys are sort of crazy. But what else is new?
Crazy for entertaining this or for our answers?
I mean, honestly, we take this way too seriously
across the board.
Now I want to see this fucking season of this show. Awesome. Now I'm furious. I'm not going to see the Diamondbacks play in Big Brother. But of course, we thank you guys for being here for this craziness, all of this stuff. We thank Jesse for putting up with us as well. But if you are already a PHNX diehard, you're already part of the family. You already know how crazy things get around here. If you're not, join us, become a diehard member. Not only will you get all sorts of wonderful benefits from our partners, discounts with our partners. You get a $50 gift certificate for Mountain Mike's Pizza. You also get a free piece of merchandise from the PHNXlocker.com and our fancy little welcome kit that comes in. You get 20% off all future purchases and so much more. So make sure to join us and become part of the diehard family today. You can sign up at gophnx.com. You can also sign up for Fubo TV if you're looking to watch the most Arizona sports for the lowest price. Of course, they have 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. No contract, no cable, no hassle. You just sign up and you can start watching immediately. And you also have 1,000 hours of cloud DVR storage included at no extra charge. So do not miss out on the NFL season, college football season, U.S. Open, Ryder Cup for you golf fans, and so much more. So
listen, I'm not a golf guy, but anytime it's U.S. versus the world, I'm there. Sign me up. I'm here for the Ryder
Cup. Right. I turn into a flag waving patriot when it comes to
best part about international sports. Best part about international sports.
Sure. You can watch your favorite international sports, college football and NFL with Fubo. Go to FuboTV.com/PHNX to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. Well, that's all we got, guys. We thank you again so much for being here and, of course, for rooting for the Arizona Diamondbacks. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. Shawn is at Shawn_DePaz. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. The people's producer, the maniac behind the Mac, is Damon. He is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Of course, we are Damon's dogs. Our show's at PHNX D-backs, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys. We appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when it is played inside of the Big Brother house.